Hi guys, just want to let you know a couple of things coming up on the channel next week. Last weekend we had the 42.2 kilometre in 42 hours virtual online challenge, and recently we spoke to Joe and Shannon Lum, the Sydney husband and wife team, who put that online challenge together in just 2 weeks, and in that time attracted 11,000 members to their Facebook page. We talk about the challenge, we talk a little bit about their running background, and we also talk about what's coming up with the 42 challenge and what they're looking forward to most when we come out of this coronavirus pandemic. Yeah, so look out for that two-part video, which should drop in the next couple of days, guys, so check it out. Anyway, before I do a couple of these hill repeats to finish this morning's session, on today's vlog I'm going to talk about my first 200 days on the Maffetone method. That's the low heart rate based running, where I've come from, how I've got here, what the rest of May will look like in regards to training, and looking ahead as Australia and our state of Queensland navigates its way out of the tight restrictions which were imposed because of the coronavirus pandemic. I'm going to get these hills done and then chuff off home and we'll finish off the vlog. Just one other thing, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and if you do like this video, then make sure you smash that thumbs up icon and give the video a little bit of love, and if you do like the video, share it with your running friends and or community. Let's do these hills. Now, if somebody had told me when I first started using the Maffetone method on October 21, 2019, that I'd still be running using that method 200 days later, I would have shook my head and said, no way. I needed the Maffetone method when I first returned to running after breaking my ankle. I'd been out for 3 months. I had the Tarawera 50k ultra trail run to do in February, so I had about 16 weeks when I returned to running after that ankle injury, and I just thought that the Maffetone method was the best way to go about building mileage quickly while keeping the heart rate low and without too much worry of injury, and it served me great. And I thought that after Tarawera that would be it for the MAF. I would say no more, and I'll just go back to my normal running and not worry about the heart rate. But there was such an improvement between the January and February MAF tests that I just had to see where this MAF would take me. Just give you a little bit of a background on the MAF. I did hit 200 days of it a few days ago. You know, I've run 2,891 kilometres in that time, and since the beginning of this year. In 15 of the 19 weeks, I've had mileage over 100 kilometres a week, and that's predominantly been because of the MAF that I've been able to sustain that sort of mileage week in, week out. I guess with the MAF, when I first started, I was probably 95% committed to it. There was a few times where I did go outside the MAF, and that basically was because I was completely frustrated with the system. Anyone who's used the Maffetone method for running will know that when you first start using that method, you've got to run bloody slow and to keep your heart rate down to that aerobic heart rate level. And mine to begin with was 127. It was tough to begin with, and there was a few times in those first few months where I just went out the window, thought, no, not going to do this. But I kept coming back to it because I knew that was the right thing to do, and it was the right thing to do to get me to Tarawera in reasonable shape and reasonable fitness. It served its purpose. I got to Tarawera early on using the Maffetone method. I massaged it to suit my needs. I knew that I needed to build the mileage quickly. I also needed to incorporate quite a bit of elevation into my weekly running, and that was because of the ultra trail in New Zealand. Very early in the piece with the Maffetone method, you have to walk up the hills to keep your heart rate at that Maffetone aerobic heart rate level. I did that for a little while, but I knew that I had to change that if I was going to get to Tarawera in reasonable shape. I started running up the hills. Yes, I had the heart rate spikes, but I made sure that the majority of the runs were done at that Maffetone heart rate level. And it was only after that the fitness had increased to such a level that I was able to increase that aerobic heart rate level up to 132. I'll put the formula to how I worked out my Maffetone heart rate level down in the description. After Tarawera, took a couple of down weeks in mileage-wise just to recover, and then I started experimenting a little bit with the MAF running. Things like running intervals just at that MAF heart rate level. While the intervals were short and sharp at that MAF level, it was just starting to get that leg turnover and was starting to get a little bit quicker. And even after only a couple of weeks of doing those intervals at the MAF heart rate level, I could see that there was a change in the pace of my normal runs. I was getting quicker as the heart rate was still staying at that MAF heart rate level. So I did that for a couple of weeks, and then I started to research the MAF system a little bit more, and was reading about Mark Allen, the great American triathlete of the 80s and 90s, who predominantly used the Maffetone method for all of his training. And I was reading that he would use a speed block of about 4 weeks. When he felt that he had sort of plateaued, he would then use a speed block to take his running speed to a new level. So in April, that's what I did. I adopted a 4-week speed block. I've seen a huge improvement. My pace has got quicker. The Maffetone heart rate level has stayed the same. I still think there's further to go with the MAF for me. What are we now, almost in the middle of May? I'll get to what I'm doing for the rest of the month in a little bit, but I think there's further down this road that I can go with MAF. We'll just keep chugging away with it and see where it leads. Now, I've had a lot of comments from YouTube viewers about me using the MAF running. They've been following my journey. There's been quite a lot who have said that they've been inspired by my improvement through the MAF. Look, and I'm really appreciative of all the comments. I'm just really trying to document my journey as a 50-year plus runner. If someone is inspired to get out there and run, or to give the MAF method a try, then that's fantastic. If you're getting something out of these videos, then that's fantastic. Before I started using the MAF method, I really paid little attention to my heart rate with my running. I ran pretty much by feel, but looking back on it, I think my easy days, were too fast. And I think this is one of the main reasons why it took me so long to run sub 3 hours for a marathon. Now, I know there's a lot of runners out there who pay no attention to their heart rate at all. If that works for them, that's fine. But I also know that there's a lot of runners out there who are real sticklers to running to their heart rate. That wasn't something that I understood until I started using the Maffetone method. So what I have found with the MAF running is that it has held me accountable for those easy days. Just as an example, last month in April, when I did the 4 weeks of the speed block, I found that I would arrive at those speed session days a lot fresher, which only can be beneficial to your running because you're so much fresher in your body and in your mind. You're able to run at a faster pace, and you're able to get a lot more benefit from the session, rather than going into that session feeling tired and a little bit run down. So that's where the MAF has really worked for me, because it has made me realise that those easy days need to be in fact easy, and by tracking the heart rate has enabled me to make sure that those easy days are exactly that. So 200 days in, will I be sticking to the MAF? The short answer to that is yes. So I have no reason to stray away from the MAF method yet. Still think there's more to gain for my running with the MAF, especially during the coronavirus pandemic. Why not just keep experimenting with this MAF method? Oh, now I should mention too that MAF has served me so well that 10 days ago I ran a marathon as part of the 42.2 kilometre in 42-hour challenge, which I mentioned earlier on in the video. And I was able to do that marathon pretty comfortably at 3 hours 20. Now, I felt really comfortable through that marathon. I know one of my goals at the beginning of the year was to run another sub 3 hour marathon. Don't really know if I'll get there, especially this year with what's happening with all the events with the coronavirus pandemic. That certainly gives me a little bit of confidence that even though there's still a way to go, it's reachable. It's whether I can do the required amount of higher intensity stuff while still trying to manage the body. You know, I've said before on the vlog that I feel my body's a little bit fragile now, but I'm getting towards my mid-50s, and that I do suffer from sore knees. Don't really recover the way I used to. That marathon run that I did on my own, it just gave me a bit of confidence and sort of gave me a bit of a spurt along to think that, yeah, maybe that sub 3 hours is still attainable. It actually brings me to another question from a viewer that wrote in one of the comments to one of the MAF videos a while ago. And viewer Darren asked me if I would consider using the 80-20 method. Now, I don't really know the finer details of the 80-20 method, but I do know that 80% of your running is done at that very easy, comfortable pace, and 20% of it is done at those higher intensity workouts. It's not something that I would dismiss, and I may try it in the future, but for now we'll stick to the MAF and see where that leads. Let's just have a little look at what's going to happen for running wise for the rest of May. Can be monotonous just running grassroots, but I really do enjoy getting out on the grass. It's good for recovery, and it's really nice and gentle on the body, so good for the legs. So I thought I might just update you on the training plan that I spoke about in last week's video, and what I'm going to do for the month of May. With the announcements from the state and federal governments in the last couple of days regarding mass gatherings and how we're going to ease our way out of these restrictions with the coronavirus pandemic. It's not looking real good for the Gold Coast Marathon in the first week of July. The governments have said that from next Saturday, May 16, we're going to be allowed to have mass gatherings of up to 10 people. 4 weeks time it'll be up to 20 people, and then in a couple of months time, July 10, the week after the Gold Coast Marathon scheduled date, we're allowed to have gatherings of 100 people. With the Gold Coast Marathon weekend usually attracting about 30,000 runners and thousands of spectators, can't really see the marathon weekend going ahead. The organisers have said that they'll make further updates on the marathon before May 19, so that's 10 days away. So we'll just have to wait and see what they come up with. Maybe they'll reschedule it, push it back a little bit. Makes my decision for what I'm going to do in May a lot easier. Body's just been feeling a little bit tired. There's a few little aches starting to creep in. Good opportunity to listen to the body. As you get older, you got to listen to the body more and more, and I've been guilty in the past of not doing that and just soldiering on and pushing through the niggles. But the last couple of days have been just feeling it a little bit with a couple of little sore spots, so going to back off now for the rest of May. Going to be doing more of this out here on the grass, just to be a little bit more, as I said, kinder on the legs. Going to get back onto the trails as well, and get those hills back into the legs. Try and get off the roads just a little bit, just to rest up the legs. There's going to be no races on for at least a few months now. No good punishing myself now, and it's a good opportunity for everyone. Just take a step back, take stock of where your running's at, build a little bit more of that base, because come towards the end of the year, when we get some events back on and we're allowed to get back in amongst big groups of people, it's going to be game on for the racing and major marathons and other events. Month of May, just going to build on top of that base, so brick by brick, make it a little bit stronger, and just make sure that these little sore spots that I've got go away. A little bit long, but that's about it, guys. Stay healthy, run strong, and I guess I'll see you in the next vlog. Hooroo.